Welcome to the Soul Happy Success Show. Coach Rebecca here. It has been a hot minute, nearly 6 months, in fact. I'm not proud of it, but I'm going to admit it because I'm honest. And today, what we're going to talk about is a little life update. We're going to talk about why turning 30 is not the end of the world, and we're going to go on a little journey to India together. So I'm excited that you're here, and let's dive in. So, where have the last 6 months landed me particularly? So I really took some time out to figure out what my goals were, to reconnect, get back in alignment, because that feels so important, especially in a world where, I'm hearing about so many entrepreneurs, they build the business and they hate it. I just don't want to be that. I don't want that to be me. So I took a hot minute to decide what are my goals, not only professionally, but what are they personally, and how do those marry up in the most beautiful synergy? I took time to create systems for financial consistency in my business. I do not believe enough people are talking about that and how important that is to have that safety net, that security blanket. If we really go back to, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, these things are so important and we're not addressing them as an industry well enough. And the other thing I was doing is I was focusing on my clients and on my practice and on becoming a better human. So I hope that I can show up in this space more authentically, more real with you, and with a deeper sense of myself and what I stand for. And I want to share a quote with you that really has pulled me through this time, because I think that we can all get to a stage where we feel like we are kind of breaking down and burning out. And my sweet friend, Rebecca Reinhardt, says this often, and it's such a gift every time I hear it. And she says, we don't burn out, we burn brighter, yes? And every time she says yes, I always think, yes, oh my goodness, this is what we need to hear. We're not burning out. We're creating the capacity to burn brighter. So what an epic perspective shift to start our time together in this show and welcome us all back. And, life hasn't changed that much. I've been working on all these things, but I still live the ranch life with my husband, that man. And I can regularly be found with a book in one hand, a smoothie in the other. And I've just been continuing to work towards my vision, my goal, which is to impact 100 women through coaching. Now, I have made it to 78. There's only 22 to go till we raise the goal. And I am so excited and honored to be a part of 78 journeys, 44 of which were clients, 34 of which have been micro loans. And I am just grateful beyond belief. So that's how it's been going. Let's dive into what you actually clicked on for the day. All right. So why turning 30 isn't the end of the world. Now, I had a recent experience of turning 30, you might have guessed. And oh my gosh, the interesting societal backlash from turning 30 was incredible. Messages of happy birthday, but welcome to the 30s club, face palm. Oh my gosh, it was really interesting. It was an interesting insight into how people see the world and what they believe. And I really took a little deeper dive into society because this feels really interesting for me, all these things. So I looked at society, and society is just saying, be younger, look younger. We have an anti-aging industry of 274 billion a year. 274 billion a year. Do you know how many mouths we could feed, people we could give houses to, medication we could help, people in desperate need of support with 274 billion a year? The obsession over how we look instead of who we are and how we are is shocking to me. And that's not something I want to explore today in too much depth, other than pointing out a few things that You might feel the pressure of society. I don't blame society for everything, but I find it really interesting to understand what's going on. But that's not the only problem. I think that's the first one you can look to, and it's like, oh, yeah, like that makes sense. But what I really want to focus on is actually, specifically in the West, we're scared of death. We're scared of dying. We're scared of talking about it. We're scared of having open and honest and loving conversations about it. And that's the focus of our journey today to India. So we're going east, and I want to share with you a little story about a city that I learned about years ago at a Tony Robbins conference, and it's always stuck with me. And friends that I have that have been to India, I've always asked them about it, and I've done a bunch of research, and it just is so interesting. And I felt on my heart that I should share it today because it's so beautiful what they do there. Now, it's not perfect, but I think that the concept is really beautiful. And if you've never heard about Varanasi before, I highly recommend after you listen to this, go and check it out. It's so interesting. But I want to give you a little snippet of what happens there. So in Varanasi, it's known as the spiritual center of India. They have a cremation pile 24/7, 365, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There is a cremation pile. There are bodies after bodies being walked through the streets by their families to be cremated at this particular spot on the side of the Ganges River. And when the bodies are brought to this space and they have been burning for 3 hours, then the man of the house in that particular person's house, whether it's an older son, a father, a grandfather, will come to the particular site that their person was laid to rest, and they'll break a clay pot of water from the Ganges River over this particular site, because the power of the Ganges River, the spiritual power, is said to be so strong that what this particular breaking of a pot does is that it signifies the breaking of relations of the body and the family to in turn set the soul free. Oh, like goosebumps. Because in Hinduism, they believe that if your body is cremated at Varanasi, you will no longer reincarnate. You will not reincarnate again, and you will go straight to nirvana. Now, why did I tell you this story? Why does this have any meaning in your life or in relation to turning 30? I'll tell you why. Because you already know what we faced in Western society. You live it. I don't feel like I need to labor the point. We idolize youth, youthfulness, being young, because it signifies that we have so much life left to live. But you might not have that much life left to live. So when we go a little bit east, while again, a process not perfect, you can see a deep honoring in death. And I would like to provide a middle ground. I don't think either are perfect, and I don't think my explanation will be either, but I want to tie this up in a beautiful bow for you. The middle ground is, what if you honored your life? Whatever age you are. This is how I feel about turning 30. Is that we waste so much time. And we forget that we are supremely blessed to have made it this far. You might be watching this at 20 years old, 30 years old, 60 years old. I hope you feel blessed in the time that you've had, because not everyone got this much. And for me, this story really solidifies how important it is to live a life that feels soulful, feels happy as much as possible, feels successful in your understanding of success. That's why my whole brand existed in the first place, and what a beautiful place to come back to, yes. So, to end, I'd like to share a quote and a question with you. And the quote is by Sophia Loren, and it includes this perspective on aging in a supremely elegant way. And she writes, "There is a fountain of youth. It is your mind, your talents, the creativity you bring to your life and the lives of the people you love. When you learn to tap this source, you will have truly defeated age." And in Coach Rebecca Speak, to me, that means it doesn't matter how old you are, it matters what you are choosing to do with the life that you have. Because you never know which day is going to be the last day. So if you feel like right now you're wasting your time, today's the day to make a change. And here's the question for you to explore for yourself, wherever you are. You can journal about it, think about it in the car, on your walk, whatever you might be doing. Because the quality of the questions that you ask yourself will determine the quality of your life. I want you to ask yourself, what are you doing to live today? And that's it. I will see you back here next Tuesday. Until then, please promise me that you will live a little. And if this has impacted your world in some way, please subscribe, comment, DM me on the socials at Soul Happy Success. I would love to hear your thoughts on aging too. And I'll see you next week.